She was a sweet mom from Texas, until the day she decided to rob a bank. This story takes us to Amarillo, Texas, back in 2010. A 37-year-old single mom named Susan Crispin walked into a small-town bank on a Friday morning with a gun in her hand. But this wasn't some cold-blooded criminal. This was a mother trying to save her son's life. Before we start, tell me where you're watching from in the comments. And if you love real-life emotional stories, hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. You don't want to miss what's coming next. 2 months earlier, Susan was working as a caregiver at a nursing home. Life wasn't perfect, but it was stable, until the nursing home shut down and she lost her job. Her 18-year-old son, Michael, had been diagnosed with a heart condition that needed urgent surgery. The cost? $8,000 up front. She applied for every loan she could find. She called old friends, distant relatives, even local churches. Everyone said the same thing. I wish I could help. As the bills piled up, she started selling what she had. Her furniture, her jewelry, her TV. But by the time she counted it all, she still wasn't close to what the hospital needed. One night, she overheard 2 men at a diner talking about how easy it was to rob a small-town bank that didn't have armed guards. They laughed, but Susan wasn't laughing. That night, she couldn't sleep. The next morning, she went to a pawn shop, sold her last gold necklace, and bought a used pistol. The shop owner said, "It's a protection, right?" She nodded, but deep down, she already knew what she was planning. On March 9th, 2010, she drove to Lone Star Credit Union. She sat in her car for 10 minutes, whispering prayers and shaking uncontrollably. She wasn't thinking about getting rich. She was thinking about her son lying in a hospital bed, struggling to breathe. She walked inside, slid a note to the teller, and said, "Please, just do what it says." The note read, "I need $10,000 right now. No one has to get hurt." Her voice cracked as she spoke. The teller, terrified, handed her the money, and as Susan grabbed the cash, she whispered, "I'm sorry." Security cameras captured everything. Her trembling hands, the tears in her eyes, the gun she could barely hold steady. Susan didn't run. She drove straight home and decided to trim her hair, just to give her a different look, after which she immediately drove to Baptist St. Anthony's Hospital, handed the money over with tears in her eyes, and paid for her son's surgery in full. The doctors operated that same evening, and they saved Michael's life. But the next morning, Susan walked into the Amarillo police station. She placed the gun on the counter and said, "My name is Susan Crispin. I robbed that bank yesterday. I just needed to save my son." The officer on duty said she was crying so hard, he almost didn't recognize her voice. In court, the judge called it a heartbreaking act of love gone wrong. The prosecutor even admitted there was no greed, only desperation. Still, robbery with firearm is a federal crime. Susan was sentenced to 10 years in federal prison. Before she was taken away, she looked at her son sitting in the front row and said, "Don't ever do what I did, but never stop fighting for the ones you love." When she was released in 2020, Michael was 28 years old. He stood beside her during a local interview and said, "She lost everything so I could live. I'll spend my life trying to make her proud." After the interview, they hugged each other so tight that they burst into tears. Sometimes love pushes people past the line between right and wrong, and sometimes the heart makes choices the law can't understand. What would you have done if you were Susan? If this story touched you, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for more true stories that remind us how powerful love can be.